Thank you for joining us on NBC5 In Depth. I'm Lauren Granada. The Vermont Human Rights Commission is hosting its first ever Civil Rights Summit. It started on Friday and is happening through today. I sat down with the executive director and general counsel of the commission, Big Hartman, to talk about the goal of the event and what they hope people will walk away with. Here's our conversation. Big Hartman, thank you so much for being with us on In Depth today.
Thank you.
So tell me about the summit that is happening this month and where you got this idea from.
Sure. The Human Rights Commission is planning a 2025 Civil Rights Summit. It's happening in Randolph, Vermont, at the campus there from November 14th to 16th, and it's also a virtual option event. The idea came from sleepless nights, honestly, worrying about our civil rights here in Vermont. And the idea behind this is really to try to offer our community members a place to get together, strategize, talk about, the pressing issues, and get ready for a legislative session where we can start proposing to our lawmakers and our policymakers ways to strengthen our civil rights protections here at the state level.
And the summit's coming at a critical time in our country, but also locally within our state of Vermont. What's the goal to walk away with for people attending the summit and also people leading the summit as well?
For people attending the summit, we're really hoping that they will walk away feeling some optimism, feeling some community, some deeper connections within the network of people who are working on advancing our civil rights here in Vermont, and hopefully some real tangible ideas about legislation that is needed and other ways that they can impact change and improvement to the system. For those of us who are organizers at the Human Rights Commission, our plan is to create a report with recommendations from this event that we will present to legislators throughout the session at the State House in 2026.
And talk to me about some of the topics that will be covered during the summit.
Sure, it's a real broad range of topics, which are really fairly community-driven ideas. So we are talking about policing, our fair and impartial policing policy, and how that's playing out on Friday. Saturday is a range of topics, including fair housing, voting access, incarceration, immigration justice, and educational equity, along with some other additional, civil rights topics. And Sunday, we're talking about racial justice, we're talking about gender equity, and also we will close out the weekend with a discussion from state civil rights agencies to share what we can do, what our offices do, and how we can serve Vermonters.
Talk to me about how the commission narrowed down the topics to the chosen ones during the summit that will be addressed and discussed.
It's been really hard to narrow down the topics and to try not to pack too much into one weekend. We've tried to limit how many concurrent panels we have because we really want folks to be able to be there for as much of it as possible and not feel like they're missing out. They have to choose to go to this one and miss out on another topic that they're really interested in. But the panels that ended up, we honed in on here are 15 panels, and they really driven by some issues that we see a lot at our office that we know are important to the community, as well as community organizations that we reached out to offer a platform, and they have really run with it themselves. And it's also very evident to us that we need to do more events like this on an ongoing basis. So for some of the topics, we do plan to do deeper dives for the community over the course of 2026. And we also had to, say no to some things that we really hope we'll be able to cover in future events.
And as you mentioned, this is the first summit of its kind happening. What's the feedback been like, and what kind of indicators are you seeing that we need more events like this?
Everyone that we invited to participate jumped at the opportunity. So we saw that as a signal that this is what the community is needing right now. This is what our state needs right now. And our advocates and our organizers and our community members are really, I think, desperate to get together, especially outside the context of kind of the doom and gloom of what's happening nationally. I think the notion that we have brought to everyone involved in speaking at this event is to come to the table with strategies. What are your solutions for state and local action that we can take? And people are really excited about that. We're seeing that through primarily the registrations. You know, in a very short amount of time that we've had registration open, we've seen over 200 people sign up. And we expect we'll continue to get some more before it starts on the 14th.
And talk to me about the Human Rights Commission as a whole, because at the beginning of the year, the backlog of people filing complaints and needing help was something that was talked about a lot. Where does the commission stand right now?
Thanks for asking. It's really been a hard time, both because of the demand for our investigations, as well as our outreach and education work. And because the work is so hard, we have seen a bit of turnover of staff, and that causes a lot of delays for case processing. But as we stand now, because we did advocate really strongly at the State House for some increase in our resources, we did get 2 new positions over the summer that are enabling us to process more cases than ever before. And we still find ourselves needing to turn folks away from just saying, no, we can't investigate your complaint because of staffing. And we're still seeing that our cases are taking a long time for the investigation to be completed, often a year or more. And the more complex the case is, the longer it's likely to take to complete the investigation. For instance, our school cases tend to take up to 2 years, maybe longer. And that's not ideal for anyone who's often still attending the school and who's seeking justice. All the parties involved in our cases wish that we could process them faster. So I don't think that we're in the clear yet. I don't think that we're currently resourced at a level that will meet the needs coming up. Because another reality is that our federal counterparts are deprioritizing civil rights investigations. We're seeing it at the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, the EEOC. We're seeing it at HUD, the Department of Housing and Urban Development, their Fair Housing and Equal Opportunity Division. It has basically been decimated. And I believe almost 90% of their employees are laid off, not just furloughed temporarily. So we would often be able to see those offices process things that maybe we didn't have capacity for. The other important office that we're seeing a lot of cuts to at the federal level is the Department of Education Office of Civil Rights that handles a lot of school investigation complaints. Almost all of their offices have been closed in the last year. So this increases the demand for civil rights investigations at the state level. And our state laws are more protective than a lot of the federal laws anyway. And so we certainly hope that we will be able to continue to grow our staff and our resources so that we can continue to meet the needs of Vermonters who are asking for investigations and want to get to the bottom of what happened.
What does the increase in complaints and investigations say about Vermont as a whole and what's happening civilly and in our communities?
We do feel that bias and prejudice is on the rise in Vermont. We do see an increase in incidents of racial harassment and discrimination. In schools, we're seeing an increase in students of color being harassed, often coupled with some kind of physical assault. And that is obviously deeply concerning. And we do feel that sexual harassment is on the rise in all areas. So some of these realities, I think, could be related to the tenor in the national discourse shifting over the last several years. And it's something that we really want to be able to address, both preventively through education, outreach, and training, and in a reactive way by conducting investigations and seeking enforcement of our anti-discrimination protections in court when needed.
What can the community do? What can we do to support the work of the commission and to help be a part of the solution to this?
Great question. Start off by coming to the summit. And we are doing as much as we can to spread the word about our anti-discrimination protections at the state level and what our office is able to provide. But we really do need concerned citizens to make sure that their elected officials know that civil rights enforcement is a priority and that the work of the commission is a priority that needs to be funded. There's obviously a big crunch in our state budget coming up, and there was last year. And we need to find solutions to ensure that there's enough funding to be able to support our work moving forward more effectively.
And what is your message to the community as a whole and those who are maybe waiting for answers and who filed complaints and who are still looking for solutions? We are not backing down. Even though a lot of the federal agencies are pulling back, we are going to be stepping up as best as we possibly can. We have an amazing team now. We're fully staffed for the first time in many months, if not many years. And we are not going to slow down. Our team is amazing. We are all dedicated to putting out a high quality of work and doing everything we can to fulfill the Commission's mission, which is to advance full civil and human rights in Vermont. So it may not be a perfect system and it may not go as quickly as we would all like it to, but the quality of our work is worth the wait. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I really appreciate your time.